Well, hello there, extraordinary educators, and welcome back to On Secondary Thought, the home of purposefully imperfect teaching, where we discuss all things middle and high school. I just wanted to take some time today to talk to you a little bit about conducting reading conferences. And the reason why I wanted to talk to you today is because I realized that through reading conferences that I held last week, I was able to really get to know my students in a way I hadn't been able to do in the last few months. So I want to give you a few tips on conducting the conferences, some things that I learned while doing so, and talk to you a little bit about how I did it. So the first thing I did was create a reading conference sign-up form. I actually put a little note here. I'd like to meet with you to discuss your reading progress and some strategies for becoming a better reader. I left the space for students' first name, their last name, their class, and I gave them 2 options for time frames. And then once students responded, I was able to see what times they were interested in. When I had a number of students respond, a large number, I decided to create a spreadsheet. And then I could sort these and make it easier for me to make appointments. So I found using it pretty simple. The only drawback was that some students were picking the same time. So what I ended up doing was I would go back to the question, and when I saw a time slot was pretty filled, I would just remove it. So that worked out pretty well. And then students had no choice but to pick the other available times. And I posted it in my Google Classroom in the stream. Please complete the following, the attached form to select your preferred meeting times. Speak to you soon. What? And I posted it the day before class or a couple of days before class. I learned from the first time not to post it the day before, because then the next day you're waiting so you get a lot of students giving responses. So then I posted it. And I had some students who filled it out immediately. I had some students who went to our classwork, because the second thing I did was I posted a classwork assignment under independent reading called the Independent Reading Journey. And I included several documents in there. The first thing I included was a document with their results from an assessment that they took several times so they can see their progress. And what I really focus on is the Lexile range. So I was able to look at that with the students. I also posted a document that correlates Lexile with reading level on a particular grade. And then I created this document here that had the student's name in class, their Lexile levels during this time period, and 3 columns for conference, because we take the assessment 3 times per year. This document really piqued students' interest. I don't know if it's because it's colorful. A lot of them said they weren't sure what to do with it, but that gave me the opportunity to say to them, hey, fill out the survey and we can talk more about it. It wasn't like a typical assignment that I would give. In addition to this template in the Google Classroom, I included an excellent site. It's called Fablexile.com. And it's a way that students can search up books. They can do it by title, author, keyword, or ISBN. They can search books by grade. They can search books by Lexile level or range. And this is really, really helpful because it can help them pick books that are going to help them grow. The third thing I included was the link to the EPIC library along with a class code in the assignment. What I like about EPIC is that it gives a variety of books arranged by Lexile level. It's very colorful and inviting for the students. So I gave students access to that. And with that, I had everything set up. So once the students started to respond to my survey, I would then look at their responses, their individual responses, look at the times and see when I'd like to do it. And then I go to my calendar. And create the appointment. So I put in the student's name, set the time, and initially I put in conferences for 10 minutes, and I realized that wasn't enough. So then I would put them in for 10 minutes, not to discourage the kids, but then we'd end up talking for 15, sometimes 20 minutes. So my tip to you would be to present the conferences as a short conference, but leave room for conferences to be a little bit longer. So then I would add guests and I would send I would save. And if they were part of my Google Classroom, what would happen is it would ask if I wanted to send an invite, and then it would end up sending an invite. So then I had these different conferences listed for students to meet. And I also said, let me go back to this. I also set a reminder 2 minutes beforehand. And that way I would get notified. And then what I did after that is I went back to the stream, and then when it was time for the conference, right underneath where the sign-in sheet was, I would add a student. And I would put the link to the Google Meet here. So that's pretty much how I set them up. And then when I was finished with another student, I would put a link with their name. And it worked out pretty well. I thought about sending the link first to all the students. And then I realized, hey, if a conference is running over, that student's just gonna pop in. And I'm not gonna say that it was a perfect process, but I will say that with some tweaking, I would definitely do again. So please stay tuned for the next video where I'll give you some tips on actually conducting the conference. Thank you for stopping by on Secondary Thought, the home of purposefully imperfect teaching. See you next time.